creators, like for my 1v1 with Steven, because I know we're all compiling like all these AMA questions for the people that are going to be in the AMA, but I want to just talk to all the content creators and just get like what are y'all's questions? Because I want to ask as many questions as possible to Steven. Like I want to try to get in like 50 questions. Like if I can do it in an hour, like I'm pretty sure I could. But I know Steven can talk, so I don't know. It may not. I mean, but I want to try to get as much questions as possible.
Sure.
Yeah, some questions will get more of a ramble than others for sure.
No reason. Come on.
Welcome on in, everybody. AC, Richie already here. Let's go.
There we go.
All right, let me get Vlhadus cam going.
Can I minimize this? Nope. If I minimize that, he disappears. Got it.
All right. How you doing? Welcome on in. Halfway decent covers. How you doing? All right. I guess I'm good to go.
Same. I am ready.
Same.
Welcome in, everybody.
Welcome on in. Oh yeah, let me get the link in Discord, I suppose. Let's put it in mine.
Rorier, thank you for the follow, man. Good to see you. What the...
Man, it's gonna be quite the week.
I'm so positive, else that if you change your name, you will start popping off. Like I know you love your name, but man, it's like so hard to find your content sometimes.
Yeah, I know how to spell it. Sometimes it's tough when I'm looking for something.
Yeah, I strongly considered changing like 2-3 years ago, and then I workshopped it for an hour, which for trying to come up with a name isn't a long time, but I was like, I can't come up with anything right now. And then I just let it go, and I never thought about it again until somebody said something. I was like, oh yeah, I said I was going to do that at some point. I forgot.
Yeah.
All right. We are good to go. This is 45, right?
45. We're at 45.
Oh, snap. Almost there to that big 50. How you doing, Gooback? I love seeing that name in chat. One of my favorite episodes of South Park right there. Yes, relation. We got the Vladdy Daddy himself. All right. So let's turn this on down. So chat, before we get into proper introductions, like we literally just got Vlhadus to we was like, hey, anybody want to join today? And Vlhadus just said, yeah, I'll join. So this all just happened in the span of the last 20 minutes. So
yeah.
We're somewhat organized, but we're pretty freestyle, happy-go-lucky here.
Go with the punches.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and do our proper introductions. Welcome to another episode of the Voices of Verra with myself, Nice Gaming, and is there no one else per usual? But today we have Vlhadus here, and of course, as always, we have you, the Voices of Verra. Welcome to episode 45. We're on 45, chat. So close to 50. Whew, that's big. How's everybody's day going?
Dude, I still remember like when y'all were like not even in the teens. Y'all were like episode 8, episode 9.
Yeah.
Like that feels so like recent. I don't know why.
Tinker Gerbs. Yes, Warrior, that's the one. So, um, first thing I want to start off with is something very high priority.
Okay.
Can we just acknowledge how amazing Vlhadus's hair is?
Oh my
Like,
god.
Vlhadus has I told him he has the cutest hair, man. He has the cutest hair. Like, don't get me wrong, your boy got him a fresh cut. I'm looking pretty good.
Yeah,
I'm show myself. I mean, no one else brought it up, so I was gonna have to bring it up. You know, no, I'm playing. But yeah, everybody got to acknowledge Vlhadus's his curly hair.
It's you know, that pinky stuff, you know, I gotta get it going. You know?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. All right, so first things first, Vlhadus has been a guest on our show before. If you guys follow Ashes of Creation, if you watch Ashes of Creation, especially on Twitch, you know Vlhadus from his normal channel, from the 1v1 podcast specifically, or his normal Ashes of Creation stream. Vlhadus has been going hard. We was just talking to him about it. He's been doing a lot of streaming as of late. A lot of great discussions. I love dropping in here and Vlhadus talk some Ashes. Yes, make MMOs great again. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I can put it on.
Relation said like a young Lionel Richie. So this is a special episode. This is Tuesday. The AMA is Friday. For those of you that don't know, the AMA with creative director Steven Sharif will be this Friday, May 10th. So this will be our last Voices of Verra before that AMA. There will be myself, Vlhadus. I think that's it. I think it's just us two. We're gonna make sure everybody else turns up missing.
That way we can ask 20 questions each.
Yes. Yes.
Sounds nice.
But now we also have Jamie Chaos. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Tangents of Creation with Jamie Chaos, Annie Lace. I'm expecting great questions from them as well. We also have Lore Forge, a member of Lore Forge, I should say, Sunny from Lore Forge. So you know they're gonna have some lore information for you guys coming. I think we're gonna have a good round of questions for you guys. I think it's gonna be a great AMA. I'm excited to finally talk with Steven. I think for each of us, Vlhadus, I can definitely speak for you. I don't think there's anybody I can't speak for when I say that this is something we've only dreamed of. Like, this is a very exciting opportunity. I did a little short video I posted exclusively to Twitter for this, but and I talked about it. It was a clip from the Voices of Verra, but I was really excited to hear everyone else's questions and hear what the community wanted to hear.
Right.
So I don't know. That was a good experience for me. I know Vlhadus, you did a poll for people to vote in for, I think your fifth question or something like that. I'll kind of just let you take it from here and talk about the upcoming AMA or anything you got going on.
Well, so the fifth voted question was pretty unanimous. It was about the rogue. So we're gonna get a rogue question in there about more specific about the stealth mechanic and how the stealth mechanic kind of differs from like camouflage, and like if there's any additional details about the rogue that we haven't heard. So that's kind of like that question in a nutshell. The second runner up, I actually put I thought it was a great question. It was the second place, I guess, in my list of questions was about node types. And is there anything new you can tell us? And are all the node types going to be available at the start of Alpha 1? I think that's a phenomenal question. We haven't heard them talk about node types in a decent bit. And it would be a really good question to know if all the four categories are going to be operational and working at the start of Alpha 2, or if maybe only two of the four are. Again, I think it's a great question. So that's going to be one of my other AMA.
Node superpowers too. We haven't really gotten a super confirmation on those in a while. I'm sure those have changed.
Yeah, I honestly hope, I truly hope that it's not just you get it to like tier 6, and then because you have the religion, right, that got to tier 6, that you get just this superpower, right? So the religion node, this is the superpower that always comes with the tier 6 religion. I truly hope that's not the case. What I hope happens is that the mayor of each, once it gets to tier 6, the mayor has an option of like 4 options of superpowers per type. That would be my hope of hope. So that way, if you have like an economic node, you have 4 superpowers the mayor can choose. And that way it's not just this static, like, oh, it's tier 6, you just get this, like, and that's what it always is. Like, I think that would be it would be okay, but I think to have that ooh, like, what do I want? You know what I mean? What kind of superpower do I want this node to benefit from? And then that also makes other economic nodes just as viable,
Holy
because you may
cow.
have one superpower that's active, but then a different superpower on the other economic node that has something else, you know? They'd be very cool.
What happened else?
So we just got raided by the TGF Tavern. 28
Oh,
people. Welcome in, everybody. Sorry.
dang.
Vlhadus and
Let's
Nice
go.
are talking about their questions for the AMA coming up in a couple days. I hope you guys are going to be there and check it out. I'm going to watch it myself. I cannot wait. So, yeah, welcome in, everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much for the raid. Everybody else that's listening, if you guys don't check out the TGF Tavern, they are awesome. They always stream right before us. You get your full or you get your Voices of Verra TGF Tavern back-to-back content for Ashes of Creation, and it's good stuff. So yeah, thank you guys.
Yes, welcome on in. And HD, thank you so much for the channel membership. Else, and Tavern, thank you so much for rating us. We really appreciate you guys. Best drinks in Vera. I tell you what, best drinks in Vera. Else, what do you think about Vlhadus as far as node superpower goes? Would you prefer varying amount of superpowers? Could you see that happening, or what?
So I'm interested in hearing more, because we haven't heard it. Like, we've heard superpowers, we've heard that, you know, they're going to have them, but I don't know what they're going to be. And so it's, if there's more, cool. Like, I just want to hear what they're going to be first. So I'm a simple man. So yeah, I think that's great. I am disappointed. I'm happy, Vlhadus, that you have one rogue question. I'm a little disappointed it's not 5 rogue questions, but but I will live with it. But yeah, I'm obviously, as you guys know, I love watching all the archetype reveals. Those are my favorite ones. Rogue and Bard are right up there for me, so, and they're coming. We're getting to the end here. Like, you got to show them to us at some point. So
Yeah.
I will say,
said something interesting here in chat. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say to Else, I think I have the only rogue question out of everybody's questions.
Unbelievable.
So,
Everybody else is dead to me.
so I'm throwing you the bone, Else. I'm throwing you the bone.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Nice.
Penbrawl was saying we already know the node superpowers. And him saying that kind of brings me back to what we were talking about right before we went live, as far as like things like you can find it on the wiki, but it was like from 2016. It was outdated. Is this still in the game? There are so many AMA questions to filter out or consider that we've gotten somewhat of an answer on before, but you didn't, you know, it's been a while since they brought it up, or they've been kind of inconsistent. Let's say augments is like one of those that's just all over the place. What we're gonna get, no one knows. Steven is so consistent. So what we were talking about right before stream is how some things haven't been confirmed in such a long time. It's mainly what that means. So we're not talking about that's going to be one of our AMA questions. We're just saying like, oh, I wonder if the node superpowers have changed. And
Yes.
I actually watched the what I call the mayoral stream. No, what's that? The node stream that they did a while back, and there was definitely a lot of changes that we did not know before that stream. So that's something to keep in mind. I mean, this is an open in development. Things are constantly subject to change. I don't know if you guys heard that one before, but that's a thing. But yeah, the one superpower per node. Oh yeah, definitely. I think Vlhadus was just saying like, hey, what if, or I would like to see that kind of system.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
More choice is always a good thing, for sure.
For sure, yeah.
And again, they could have just one, and then like come patches or even expansion, they can start expanding these node systems. You know, because it is such a huge system. Like even to ask in my head that, oh, I wish there was multiple options. I mean, that could cause its own set of problems and its own set of scope creep to like implement for, you know, 4 times 4. That's like 16. You know, superpowers they have to add for all 4 categories. Like that's it's kind of nuts. So
yeah. Something that I did, I forgot to paste this in the chat, but if you guys else, if you want to pull up Twitter, Ashes of Creation did a poll today on their official Twitter account asking for feedback on the lighting that they showcased during the recent Midnight Magic stream. And they had people vote like, does it need to be darker? Is it just right? Something like that. Here, I'll try to pull it up on my end as well.
I got it. There we go.
I actually retweeted it. I should be able to find it easy. There we go. Here,
you already voted in the poll? I have not.
I did. Oh, vote live.
Do you think nighttime in our game is dark enough? Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm with the majority. Let's go.
All right. Wow, conforming to the masses. Have your own opinion, else.
It is my opinion.
So it's got 606 votes. If you guys have not and you want to provide your feedback, feel free to do it here. Yeah. But as you can see, it appears that most people are satisfied with the nighttime that they showed off, which is great news to me. I'm glad that the poll has gone this way because they'll obviously be using this for a big section of their feedback, if you will. And it's going to be open for a whole week. So, I mean, who knows how much this can sway. But I think your first day of a poll pretty much show you at least what's going to win for the most part, right? These percentages might change, but I think we can say that, everyone was satisfied with the nighttime that they showed. I personally feel that it was good as well. I voted great. What about you, Vlhadus? I've seen so many people wanting it darker, and I think back to that artisan stream, and it was just not great. That artisan stream was like shadowy survival game esque.
No, I completely concur with you. Like, it's literally, I feel like what we have now, and I think people keep trying to make Ashes a survival game. They keep trying to be like this gatekeeper of wanting Ashes to be this super hardcore game, and I can't agree on that. Like, in a lot of ways, to a casual person, Ashes is already very hardcore. To the average person's perspective. I don't want there to be this, because if you've ever played Conan Exiles, darkness in that game is dark. Like, you hardly can't see anything. And again, this isn't a survival game. This is an MMORPG. If you want to play a survival game, there's other games that you can play that are really, really good. But Ash is just not going to have that. It's not that genre, and Steven said that too. So I kind of like it where it is. I honestly, like, even I could have been fine with it the very first time they showed off the nighttime, which was the first cleric stream. I could have been fine with that myself. But I'm also fine with this too. I think, again, the skybox looks utterly phenomenal. Like, I've watched this stream probably like 4 times because it's a very short stream.
Yeah.
And I still can't get over just how amazing the sky looks, because every time I look up at like WoW or, a lot of the other MMOs, the skybox is so bland, and I just feel like, just imagine, like, again, the time lapses you can do for like YouTube content, if we're truly going to get a 15-minute day and night cycle, like, that's going to be crazy.
Can I pause you right there? Do you think that's long enough?
To be honest, I think it's too short.
That's got to be a placeholder number, right?
Right. No, absolutely. Everything is placeholder. Like,
I'd like to chat. You know what? That's a good question to ask everybody. Chat, everyone put in their numbers. Well, I think most people will agree 15 minutes is probably too unrealistic to have the sun up, setting, and I would like to see a 1 to 2 hour, maybe even 3 hour cycle. Maybe 1 to 2 hours. 1 hour would be like my vote. Maybe. I'm gonna compromise with my own freaking brain. Let's say 2 hours. About 2 hours.
2 hours for day and 2 hours for night.
Like, over the course of 2 hours, you will see the sunrise and set. Like that. Okay. That'll be a full rotation, essentially.
Okay, so can I ask you a follow-up question?
Yeah.
How long do you want seasons to be?
I love that question. I would say, would a month? Nah, a month would be too long. I want to see some variety. Let's do 1 to 2 weeks. And if I had to choose between the two, I'd like to see. Actually, seasons have a big economical effect.
Yeah.
So I want those seasons to actually take a while to come back. So that adds more value to the good. So
right.
Either a month, I'd say 2 weeks to a month.
It's got a couple people over. We got people voting over here. I got a 3 week, 2 week, 2 weeks, month, 1 week. I'm there with you guys. I would say that seasons at least, it's got to be at least a week. A week makes a lot of sense, because then, like, you can rotate through each season in a month, and then, like, you get all that out. Like, so if you're doing a monthly subscription, that 1 month you get to experience all 4 seasons. So I guess
Well said.
I could see that part. I'm cool with 2 weeks. I'm cool with 3 weeks as well. Like I'm pretty flexible. So
for me, like I think a week might be too short. Like
I can
again,
see that.
for the economic, and again, I could be
Mhm.
wrong. Like we could go into the game in a week, it actually feels really good.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think in my head, I would rather start at 2 weeks, like as the barometer, and see what
Yeah.
that feels like, and then
Sure.
work from there. I think a week is too it might be too short, but 3 weeks, like I think that's a little too long.
Yeah.
So again, I would rather just start at the 2-week mark just to see where that lands us.
So
And if
from what I'm seeing in chat and from what you're saying, nobody wants a week. Like nobody. I haven't seen
Yes,
one person say
I've seen
1 week.
I've seen 1 week.
Yeah.
One
It's-
person.
Have you banned them yet, or like what? Are they
no, I just timed him out.
No.
Just timed him out.
Imagine not having an echo chamber. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me.
He changed his mind. Okay, never mind. We're all good.
Peer pressure.
No, we were just playing. We were just playing.
Peer pressure.
So really quick, I meant to say this. I had to go back and just double check. But with the discussion on the nighttime and if it's dark enough and everything, all I'm gonna say is, if a moon is right there, the way it is with the skybox, this is how dark it should be, in my opinion. So in my opinion, if people want the realism and if they want the nighttime to look like nighttime, if you got a big fucking moon that close, like it's not gonna be pitch black. And so it'd be interesting to see, like, can it get darker if the skybox has, no moon? Like if there's no moon in the area, like does it get darker? But this one I thought was great. I thought it was really good.
Well said. And going back to that lighting question, like Gubak said, yeah, it could be lighter, but this lighting still gives ambiance. I want to know you won't know until you see on your actual like PC browser or whatever. Yeah. Someone said something really funny. They was like, most of us MMO nerds are aging and need to be able to see. I thought that was a funny one.
Man.
Sorry, I forgot who said that, but yeah,
Not wrong.
I agree with that. I think most of the AOC community is older people. People wanting that nostalgia, that classic MMO, and yeah, we gotta consider the I don't want to use the politically incorrect term, so
The elderly?
Boomers.
yeah, let's go with that. Let's go with that.
The elderly.
I don't want to enforce my ageist MMO policies, but yeah, I'm with you guys. It seems like most people are wanting it. They don't want to use a torch. They don't want to have to use a torch or have to rely on a certain skill in order to see. And Ash's relation said the same, similar thing. Aren't there 3 moons? That's 3 times the light at night. Astronomy video incoming. Let's go. Oh yeah, relation said he's got an astronomy video on the way. I think he's gonna do that crazy research.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you want a pitch black like playtime area, you can't have a big fucking moon up there. It makes no sense. Like that's prototypical. We're gonna go out of the box here. But when you have a big full moon that's super bright like that, what hunters call that's their hunter's moon. It's so bright that you can literally go out in the middle of the night and you can see everything without a flashlight or anything. That's what a hunter's moon is. And so yeah, this light's perfect. So
and relation, if you do that astronomy video, you have to find a way, and even if you got to force it in there, to tell everybody that I'm a Gemini, since you're doing a astrology video. Oh, excuse me, astronomy. Either way, just tell people I'm a Gemini.
I was gonna say I don't mind like the micro sense of survival, and what I mean by that is like if there's a dungeon, and again the dungeon is properly lit. I want to be very clear, but there's like a wing that's completely dark.
Yeah,
and you're like, what the hell's down this thing? And you can't
Yeah.
see anything, and maybe you need like the mage orb to like be able to see your way, or maybe you need like some other abilities, or maybe it's a kind
Utility
of puzzle
skill.
you gotta utility skill or a puzzle you have to figure out to like light up that particular way, that path. Like I don't mind stuff like that. I just don't want where every single time there's a cave it's black. Like every
Yeah.
cave in Ashes is black. You need to have some kind of a light source to go in there. Like I think that's stupid. Please don't do that. Again, I think in a very small dose, I don't mind it, but I don't want it to be this overarching thing that you have to worry about all the time.
Yeah. So funny story about that. I played Elden Ring earlier this year in January and February, and Elden Ring has torches for different dungeons and stuff. And a few areas, like I was just gonna say, like, I hope Blap's here to hear this because he remembers. But I was playing with Blap one day and we were going into dungeons. He's like, yeah, he's like, you got to get a torch. I'm like, man, fuck torches. Like, I don't want to carry around a torch. I just don't care to do it. So I'd literally just walk in and, like, you know, your visibility is like 1 foot in front of you. I just walk until I ran into a wall, then I walk until I run into another wall. I didn't care. I'm like, I just want to get through this. I don't want to deal with like weapon swapping from a torch to a sword to all this other stuff. Like, I'd rather just have my sword, because if I get attacked, like, I'm just gonna start swinging, and so I don't want to deal with the torch. And yeah, I'm not a fan of them. So
yeah, no one likes needing it. I'm with Vlhadus, where he said it'd be cool if there was like one dungeon or one cool boss fight. You're going to we don't need to come up with lore right now, but if you're going against this shadow monster or something taking the light from Verra, and so you got this one fight where mechanically you want to like use your skills to light up the place, and you know, something like that, or there's some mechanic where one person has to, maybe you want your tank carrying the torch or something like that. One person has to always be holding it. Something like that. I could see that being really fun. Or if there was like a utility skill. We've heard about utility skills like with the rogue being able to be the one to find secret entrances and stuff like that. If the mages was some sort of mage light to light the area, which I think we saw in the caravan showcase. I could see some of that stuff like that being good. I just hope it's not, like Vlhadus said, not too common.
Here's a good one. Forget dark lighting. They said, let me jump into it real quick. Forget dark lighting. If you want tense moments with low visibility, use fog.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
I really like that one. That one's good.
Yes.
Do you remember the I think it was no, it wasn't the ranger. It was like the ranged basic attack stream.
Yeah.
Remember that fog that was like whenever he went, dude, I could really see some really creepy crap with fog in Ashes. Like in graveyards, at nighttime. Imagine a fog monster coming out where you think you're running, right? And you think, oh, it's just fog, and it's actually not fog. It's literally a monster. Like that would be really cool. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, fog is definitely a go-to thing.
Random thing on the fly, since we like to be chaotic and unorganized with you guys around here.
Yes.
We're gonna switch directions here. I'd like to bring up PAX Day.
Oh, okay.
So I'll have the link here pulled up on my stream, but else you posted this Reddit post from, it was 11 days ago, but you'll find it in the Voices of Verra officials preview chat. If you scroll up, it's titled "Playing PAX Day has increased my hype for AOC." For those of you that are not in the Voices of Verra Discord, this is our Ashes of Creation specific Discord that Elsa and I have. We have our regular ones, but this one is more so for the Ashes of Creation stuff. And if you haven't joined, there is a link in the description on YouTube right now, or in most of my pinned comments. So if you guys did want to join that. But anyways, you can find previews of what we will be discussing there.
There we go.
So, and I'll have it so you guys can see it here, and there you go.
Messed up Vladis's camera doing that. My bad, Vladis.
Oh, why'd you do that to him?
It was just a hate crime, I guess. So my bad.
So I'll let Else read this one. He posted this one, and we'll see where we go with it.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. There's a lot of connections to draw. I did a video on this last week because we didn't talk about it. And I was like, fine, I'll do this shit myself. But no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it was PAX Day is a very interesting concept with bland combat system and an obtusely complex crafting system. Some parts I like, others not so much, but at the end of the day, it's built in the same engine as Ashes of Creation, and having kept up with every single live stream, I am super hyped for Alpha 2 in probably Q3 of 2024. Intrepid seems to be putting way more effort in respect into UE5. I do like the idea of shared and persistent world building, but the combat of PAX Day doesn't seem to be very rewarding, at least not enough for the sheer amount of complexity of its crafting system. Here's to hoping Ashes of Creation can really show off UE5's true potential. So go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Let us know what that made you think about, or how you want to tie it.
Yeah, so the reason I was excited about it is obviously PAX Days, both their alphas have been a very narrow scope, like very narrowly scoped. The first one was on, I think it was just building, like crafting and building. And then this one we went into, they had some PvP, and then they had crafting and everything. But like we don't know what the full scope is. Obviously the PvP is very rough around the edges. Obviously combat's very rough around the edges, but like that's a very hyper focused alpha. And I got a lot of negative feedback when I was streaming it. I don't know if you ended up streaming it nice. I don't know if you played it, Vlhadus. But I thought it was kind of interesting that how the community perceived an alpha, considering that we will be going into alpha 2 for Ashes of Creation. And obviously there's a lot of similarities to draw there. Alpha 2 for Ashes is going to be way more polished, but still it's going to be an alpha. And I think we're going to get a lot of similar questions, and I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah. That's the same reason. Thank you for the follow, Catrello. That's the reason I want to talk about it too. So for me, I personally would rather have the combat had been good, and then the Kraken and whatever needs to get worked on. They did it the other way, and so I couldn't play more than 2 sessions, personally. That doesn't mean it's not gonna end up great, that doesn't mean the game isn't good or what they want to do with the game isn't good. It couldn't keep me because the combat is so important, and I think that's something a lot of us agree with here. Combat is probably I think most of us would agree combat's more important than graphics. Some may even say more
Yes.
important than crafting system. Like combat's the thing you're doing the most. So there's that. But what I mainly want to tie this with is essentially what you did a video on. I think Richie as well did a video on this, like pretty much setting our expectations for Alpha 2. Because I came away from PAX Day's alpha tests disappointed. I didn't, like I
Yes.
said, I didn't want to play more than 2 sessions. And I was looking forward to playing it. I really was. And I still look forward to the project. I like to check back in on it, but it's not something I'm gonna obsessively follow like I follow Ashes of Creation, right? But that got me to thinking, and especially with Steven saying what he said last stream, what is some people expectations too high? Like, do you think that the feeling that I got from PAX Day and what you probably got from PAX Day playing it is going to happen to a lot of backers who got their Alpha 2 pack? They're going to play it for a week and they're just like, there's not enough stuff to do. I already ran out of content. I already seen all the dungeons. I already explored the Riverlands or whatever biomes are available. Could you see, like, after a month, like, how much do we think that population is going to fall off? And if you had to give a percentage number, and I'm gonna pass this one to you, Vlhadus. If you had to give a percentage number of people who you think have proper expectations, just from what you know, looking around the community, what percentage of people or what percentage of the Alpha 2 population do you feel has appropriate expectations for Alpha 2 versus the one who's probably gonna get PAX Day disappointed? And if you want to start with if you were interested in PAX Day or your thoughts on it first, that'd be great too.
I can give the percentage, and this may be like a hot take, but I think like 40% of the overall community has proper expectations. I think that's why Steven said it, because I pop into a lot of discords. I talk to a lot of people. I talk to a lot of different guild leaders. I talk to a lot of officers. I talk to a lot of just regular excited common Ashes people. And they usually talk about Ashes in the sense of playing, and they use that word a lot. And I think people just really forget that you're going to play, of course, but
Yeah.
it's not going to be the playing in what you think playing is. And you have to understand this is an alpha. And I think, again, this is my first real alpha experience in an MMO. I think for a lot of people, it's also going to be their first alpha experience in an MMO. Now, they went to go play PAX Day, and again, they were disappointed in PAX Day. Why? Because it's not a finished game. You know what I mean? And again, I think to lead it into PAX Day, I did try it. I played it for like 15 minutes, but I realized that it's more of a survival game with MMO elements than an MMORPG with survival elements. And that's why I couldn't play it, because it's literally just UE5 Minecraft. Like that's
Yeah.
what you do. And so I don't really particularly have a and me and Nice, dude, we first time playing Minecraft, we did that for the extra life event,
Yeah.
and we tried our best, man. Like I you know, I was so stressed out during that, because apparently I was like doing the whole thing, because I mean not the whole thing, but I was the artist trying to like
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
everything. But Yeah, I don't really find, again, I am not a survival game enjoyer, so I'm definitely not the target audience, but all I will say is that, from the guild leaders and officers that I did talk to that played the Alpha 1 technically of PAX Day, they left a lot of feedback regarding professions, and a lot of them felt very upset when the second one came out because professions got worse.
Sure.
It's like they literally didn't even listen to the feedback from the first test regarding professions. They literally made it even worse to grind and still didn't
Or
have
1 week
like
alpha, by the way.
yeah, and again, like it's hard to really set an expectation, right? Because I think all of us are very desperate to play a new MMORPG. And I think
Yes.
that's where this anger comes from, right? Because it's like, oh, it's like we get this new thing and we're excited, but then we're disappointed because it's not what we want or it's not what
Mhm.
we imagined. And it's a very frustrating thing because then you have to go back to your old game. You have to go back to Elder Scrolls Nice, or you have to go back to
Oh,
New
no.
World, like
Take that back.
but that's how people feel. It's like they don't wanna go back to their home
Yeah.
MMO anymore. They're tired of
Yeah.
that game. They want to go somewhere new, but there's literally nowhere to go. It's like you're a homeless vagabond in the MMO space right now without a
Yeah.
home. Like, it's really sad because I feel like that. I feel like I'm literally, like, just roaming the MMO land just without a home yet until Ashes comes out.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think this entire PAX thing is interesting for a few reasons. Number one, like I think that the biggest difference between PAX and Ashes is I just know more of what to expect. We've been watching live streams for years now. So I know what the game's going to look like. We don't know the full scope, like the amount of content that's going to be in Alpha 2, but we have an idea of like what the combat will feel like for specific archetypes. We have an idea of like how these things are going to be. I went into PAX Day not knowing what combat was going to look like at all. I was like, they said there's going to be PvP, so maybe they have a rough honed out system. Oh my god, man, that was awful. That was
Awful.
so bad. And then you hear rumbles about how they want to have like early access and stuff like this, and
Mhm.
you're like, okay, if you did this Alpha 2 to like drum up early access, in my opinion, as it stands right now, I am not interested. I'm not saying other
Yeah.
people are or anything like that. Like, I'm obviously interested in trying out a new MMO. I'm going to continue paying attention to PAX Day because it's an alpha. It was a very narrow scope, but they're a ways away. And
Oh, yeah.
and so it was funny because like that happened, and then I did my video and I talked to the community and everything, and I was like, yeah, this is not going to be an early access game. Alpha 2 is not early access. And somebody commented, they go, yes, it is. I'm like, dude, I mean, Intrepid said no. Like, they keep saying it's not early access. You have some content creators saying it's an early access game, and it's just crazy. Like that people still just I understand not being informed, but when you have people like literally there, they're like, yeah, it's not an early access game. Oh yeah, it is. It's early access. Don't worry about it. Okay.
The oh,
Well, yeah. I want to get to a lot of interesting comments here from the Voices of Verra. First, I want to start off with Penumbra. He says, I think Intrepid will be able to keep padding the alpha with more content to keep people interested. This is something I've always expected, that Intrepid's gonna be a little bit more smart uh, about their marketing and roping those testers back in and retaining them. That's the word I was looking for, retaining. I think what we'll see is content gradually applied. We're gonna start the alpha 2. It's gonna start off with the amount of biomes it has, the amount of whatever, and we've talked about this before, but I really think like they're gonna do a monthly live stream, like, hey, we finished Summoner, that'll be available in your next download. Hey,
Yeah.
we like to test Guild Wars. Your Guild Wars system should be available. If you're having some bugs, leave your feedback next month or next week. Hey, we got to take Fighter offline because this is bugged. Next week, this is now there. The castle system's now online. You should be able to be voted as king or queen. Let us know how this goes. And there's going to be something else. And then the big one, naval content is now available. Go let us know how the physics feel. There's going to be so much to keep
Yes.
us roped in, constant content coming in. Like, it's going to feel really good. And I think that will help retention. I think we'll still see a drop off, of course, of people that were expecting the Ashes of Creation they've had in their head for years, not realizing this isn't the launch. This is literally a test. And so we have to subvert expectations just a little bit. I think we're going to get a good game to play slash test, but we got to subvert expectations just a little bit and constantly remind ourselves, because there's going to be some downtime where we're just like, dang, all right, I've done everything. I've tested every class. You got to remind yourself that more stuff is around the corner, and they're constantly going to be implementing stuff for us to test, which is something very important to keep in mind. Um, we got a couple more comments here that I wanted to get to. Someone said, besides building an Impacts Day, what are other things you do in the game? From ACL, genuine question. Besides that, do you
PvP?
do you PvP in the PvP specific zone? Do you I mean,
Craft? You
The
craft stuff.
you craft and you hunt, and there's no NPCs in the game. There's no quest in the game. It's a pure sandbox. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you do. I'm actually not sure what the gameplay loop is supposed to be. I'm really not, especially with it being no NPCs or no quests. And a lot of people forget that aspect of PAX Day. But yeah, now Warrior said something I think is very interesting. Make sure you guys are following Warrior on Twitch and YouTube as well for some Masters of Creation content. He says, I think Steven said it because he saw a lot of the Ashes creators dogging on PAX Day. Vlhadus. So
I didn't
basically,
really talk about PAX Day personally.
I'm kidding. But no, well,
I
Steven,
I will say
Ste-
this.
yeah.
I think PAX Day is going to be a success if they get rid of their monetization.
Mm.
Believe me, there's a lot of people who want a game like that. I'm telling you,
Survival MMO. We don't have
because
this.
well, it's not even that. They do building very, very, very well. And
It was interesting.
Yeah, to see Asmongold's like horde of people make that whole village was amazing. Like it really, really, really was. And I think if they do fix a lot of the kinks as far as the professions go, their storage, the fact that you don't need that many people to create like a house, like I think the game could actually be a really interesting game. You know, and again, Valheim blew up because of it had a very small scope. But I don't know how big PAX Day wants to go, but I think it can be successful. But again, they can't do the monetization that I've seen them
Yeah, the
say they
WoW
want to
token.
do. Yeah, like that can't fly. Because again, it's just like all that work is meaningless then,
Yeah.
and people aren't going to want to invest.
Warrior goes on to say, he says, I know for a fact Steven was in a certain stream when there was some PAX Day trash talk in comparison to Alpha 1 talk happening. True.
Oh, wow.
That's true.
Wow.
I do think Steven and Intrepid would be smart and have, I guess, shown to be smart enough to learn from their competitors. They saw the rise and fall of New World. They've been, I mean, his whole inspiration for creating Ashes is everything else in the genre was just bleh. So they keep an eye on their competitors, obviously. I mean, no one runs a business without knowing what their competitor is up to. That's how you compete. That's how you make your stand in the market. So maybe that is the case. Maybe they did see feedback, maybe not even from content creators, but from just everyone talking about PAX Day, members of the community, whether it's in Discord or wherever. Regardless, they saw the feedback, and I think they just felt like, hey, let's go ahead and subvert expectations. Let's go ahead and remind people, like, hey, this is gonna start off a little rough. We're gonna have something amazing. Stay with us for the long haul, but just let's just dial that back a little bit. So
Let's
yeah.
I wanted to briefly say one thing. So we know this, but Steven likes to go on the weekends and watch a bunch of Ashes of Creation content, and I know he's commented on both your guys' videos, which is really cool. And there was, I don't mean this as in an insulting way or anything. I just remember it. But do you guys remember Nico's video that he came out with? I remember him specifically saying like can be viewed as like an early access game, and that video gained a lot of traction among people. I know people reacted to it, so he had to have seen it somewhere. So all I'm trying to say is like there's good reason. I think there's good reason for him to bring it up, is just to like, hey, yeah, this is going to be an alpha. This isn't going to be like Nice, and I don't know how you feel about this. You'll probably agree with this, Vlhadus, but like Nice and I talk about when we get an alpha 2, it's going to be awesome to go in and test, and we're going to play and stuff. But when we mean play, we're like, hey, we're going to go test out how damage scales, how mitigation works. We're going to actually check to see like how this combat, like obviously they have a system for, or they have an entire setup for how they're going to calculate damage and mitigation, these sorts of things, and we want to figure that out. We want to get ahead of the curve there. But we don't go into it going, oh man, I'm gonna go into Alpha 2 and I'm gonna experience a storyline. This is gonna be fucking sick. We're gonna go do like 6 dungeons. This is gonna be great. And then we're gonna do a raid afterwards. I have no idea what's gonna exist in there. I just know that like there'll be a little bit of combat, and it'll be fun to figure out like what they haven't told us yet. So
else I'm gonna send you this image as well that I have pulled up on my stream.
oh boy.
Here we go. God. So you guys may be familiar with a member of the community known as Pockets. He actually made the mask that Steven wore during, I forgot which stream exactly that was. Pockets made that cool mask. You guys may remember him from that. He also is responsible for another awesome creation. He made this. These guys made this in PAX Day.
I'm pulling it over for you guys.
Jesus Christ.
Which I think is just clever. See, this is why PAX Day will succeed. Creativity.
Yeah. So it's a ramp, and then you can jump off onto separate platforms. Super interesting.
Well, and the one thing for me as a non-survival enjoyer is survival games, you have to create your own server. And that whole thing is annoying to me. The fact that like every single time you have to have someone make the server, invite people to, and it's this like, sometimes it could be very complicated. And the fact that PAX Day is going to have like their own servers that you can log into and it's going to be run by them, to me as someone who may not enjoy it, I feel like I wouldn't mind testing out PAX Day, like whenever it actually comes out, and just seeing how the finished product is. Because to be honest with you, I'm not rooting for PAX Day to fail.
No.
If PAX Day fails, it's going to be another marker in the already bad history of the MMO genre as of late. And we don't need any more bad marks. We need good games. We need more competition so that these top dogs can stop producing basic bitch content and, get off their ass and do something. Like stop giving us like these very small patches and thinking, oh my God, we did so much for you guys lately. And it's like, really? This is a week's worth of content until we have to wait 6 more months for the next major patch. Like, it's ridiculous. So I don't know. I really do advocate, and I really hope that PAX Day takes their time, because again, I don't know their scope. That game could be, in my opinion, years away, but if they have a very small scope, they could be like, hey, we're launching next year, you know, and then I'm gonna like almost like, oh, please don't, because what you currently have, it doesn't really show much faith that it's going to come out as a success. It's going to be like, again, like another New World. And I think, again, to have this game come out and it be like, again, it may not be my cup of tea. Again, I'm not a survival enjoyer, but if the people that do like survival games, like if the Conan Exile enjoyers come out and say, wow, PAX Days are really, it's not as good as Conan Exiles. And again, it can't be, because again, Conan has way more content because it's been out for a long time. But if at least it's a contender, that's a great start. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah. No, I agree with you. And like you go back and you look at things and you look at what's the most successful MMO of like the last 5 years. And I think by default you would have to say it's New World, but nobody would say that where New World is a success. Like, it's not a success. It's not competing with MMOs from 10 years ago. And I'm not going to use this podcast to shit on other MMOs. I'll use my own specific channel to shit on them separately later. But I'm just playing. But like it is sad, right? It is sad that like the best games are 10 to 20 years old right now in this genre. Like that's the saddest part, is there should be competitors and people saying, hey, I'm not really liking what's going on with this game right now. I should have another choice. It feels like nobody really has a choice for what they want to play. And that's the super shitty part. I'm with you, Vlhadus. Like, I do want to see PAX Day succeed. I want to see it be a successful game. Right now, I'm not super interested in the direction that it's going, but like, it's a narrow scope, and hopefully they expand more and cover things later, and hopefully like it gets better. But yeah, right now I'm just kind of waiting to see how everything goes.
I'd like to switch gears here in a second. Before I do, I'm gonna read this comment from a lot earlier. BM, thank you for being here. He said a while back, he said, we're 10 years on without an actual good MMORPG being released. How did we go from Warhammer, Rift, and Guild Wars 2 all dropping within a year of each other back in around 2012 to this?
Yeah.
Yeah, the competition or the new releases just had, like Els was just saying, had great. Oh, what was that?
Well, at least we forget. Because Alice, you said that the last big one was New World, and I disagree.
Oh,
Numerically and numbers wise, it was Lost Ark. Lost Ark came out with 1.6 million people concurrently when it launched.
when did it
And
launch?
it launched almost simultaneously when
Okay.
New World launched.
Okay.
And again, it's kind of an unfair comparison because it launched here for the first time in the States, but it was already like a finished.
Oh,
It was basically like what Steven always talks about. It was a port over,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It had been out in Korea for almost like I think 3 years, and then came over here. So
Okay.
there was literally like 3 years worth of content and 3 years worth of revisions and bug fixes and all this other stuff. But when it did come out around the same time the New World did, which was like 2021.
Okay.
And it had a monumental amount of players, but it's pay to win trash. So
See,
Yeah.
it's so you're absolutely right. Thank you for clarifying that one. For whatever reason, I thought Lost Ark's been out for a long time, and I guess technically it is, but unless it's a US release, like I don't think it necessarily counts. So okay, yeah. So that would be the best one, and yeah, that's right. So yeah, okay.
it's
That's fair.
I mean, the fact that it's paid, or the fact that like we have to say that the best release was a
Yes.
Korean MMO, like it just saddens me, man. Like,
Ugh. I'd like to first I'd like to pause here for a little bit. First, give another shout out to Vlhadus. If you guys are on YouTube, he's already tagged in the title. If Vlhadus, if you want to type in Twitch chat so people can just easily click your name and follow you there, make sure you guys follow him if you
Yeah,
like our
give me one
podcasts
second.
and just like hearing people talk ashes. He streams a lot, so make sure to give him a follow, especially if you're enjoying this conversation. Also, make sure you guys are, I'm about to tell you guys everything to do. Follow Vlhadus, first of all. Else is live as well. Make sure you guys find him. You can find him in the Ashes of Creation category on YouTube as well. And you guys don't have to follow me. It's cool. No, whatever. Yeah, I mean, but no, make sure you guys follow on Twitch, subscribe on YouTube, whatever. Appreciate all the support you guys constantly do. I can't believe we made it to episode 45. And something I want to reiterate again is one, just a thank you to the whole community, because I'm pretty sure I don't think this can even be denied as a fact. Without you guys, I don't think we'd be selected to the AMA, obviously, right? I don't think Vlhadus would make it to the AMA. I don't think I'd make it to the AMA. I don't think we get the opportunity to talk with Steven. I don't think we would continue to grow our communities without literally you guys, the community. So appreciate you guys being here, and thank you so much. I know we can't literally read every comment
We're
that
trying.
comes up in chat.
We try.
Like we try to get to a lot of them, especially the juicy ones, but just know that I read all you guys' everything you're typing. I really appreciate you guys. We like, you guys literally are the voices of Verra, so we appreciate you guys.
So
Okay.
I was gonna say, so Pockets commented and he wrote, "Else is an NA nationalist. All those other lesser countries don't matter." And it reminded me. So Vlhadus, I'm sure Nice does the same shit to you, but he messaged me on Friday and he's like, "Hey," he goes, "Are you streaming tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm thinking about it." He goes, "You need to react to this." And he sent me the Blue Squadron.
yeah.
He sent me the Blue Squadron reaction to Rive's video. And so I went and I watched it. And it was, I mean, it's just old man yells at cloud stuff, but it was funny because he kept saying BDO came out in 2 years. It was made in 2 years. And I'm like,
it was a year and a half.
Yeah, it was like year and a half, 2 years. And he's like, it was done in 2 years. It's like, dude, it didn't come out until 2016 for North America. Like, what are we talking about? And it's like, and it started in 2010. It's like, do you think they on purpose chose not to make money in North America for 4 years? No, they were. I don't know. So it just reminded me of that because that was another NA game. Well, I was like, yeah, it doesn't count until it comes to America. So yeah, I guess so.
I watched his video too, and I reacted to it as well because a lot of people were like Vlad, don't do it, man. It's really bad. And I was like,
else do it.
I was like, okay, like it can't be that bad.
It's funny. I hadn't even I hadn't seen the video, but I heard the reputation of the video, and so I was like, instead of me watching this, I'm gonna watch Else watch this. I'm gonna knock two birds out with one
It's a train
stone.
wreck.
I
Oh
mean,
man.
the one thing for me that I couldn't understand from him is at least, I mean, to get y'all's opinion, right? We've been really tired of what AAA studios have been doing, right?
Yeah.
Like as far as like how they've been conducting their MMO practices, like monetization, content, cadence, like all that stuff. And every time when I heard him the talk, and he says, you know, oh, Ashes of Creation has been wanting your money and been asking for your money, and you know, all they want is money and blah blah blah. Like, don't give them money, don't give them money. It's like, well, do you want Ashes then to not take any money from the community, get a publisher, or get like a big angel investor and have the same exact issues that all these other AAA studios have?
Yeah.
Look at what Helldivers went through.
Yep.
Helldivers literally has Sony as a publisher, and
Which was
Sony
up
was
bringing it.
basically gonna, you know, come out and be like, hey, you're gonna have, if you want to play Helldivers, you're gonna have to sign up on the PlayStation Network, you know. And
Yeah.
you know, and again, it's like sometimes when you're even the creators of their own game, if they have a publisher, sometimes they don't have the say. It's all in the contract, it's all in the fine print. And I think I would rather have a community like raise money the way Steven did, so that we have a say in what goes. And again,
Ooh.
look at all of the feedback we've gotten from Alpha 1 that's been implemented into the game that we see right now. Look at
Yeah.
the lightning ball. How many times were people complaining about that? And look at it now. It's so much better.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean,
so
it had to get passed through a board of directors either.
nope.
So the crazy thing about what, like, so people are commenting on that entire video, and so it's reminding me of stuff that he said. But like, guys, it was all in good fun. Like, I think a lot of the stuff he does it to be reactionary or whatever. And if he's really on it, like if he's serious, then we can have a discussion about it. But like his entire comment, like, they keep asking for money. I don't ever remember Intrepid saying like, hey guys, we need this. They've been saying for years, like, we're fully funded. If you want to participate, this is what it's going to be. This is the way it's been since the Kickstarter. We're not going to change it because we feel like it would screw over the original Kickstarter people. And that makes sense. But like they said, what was it, in August? Hey, our Alpha 2 keys are ending in January. Just letting you know, just a heads up. And that they just provided that announcement. They haven't said like, come. And so he's just like, stop giving them money. And the irony for me is just how extremely pay to win BDO was when it first came out. Like, I have friends that have spent thousands of dollars on BDO to compete at a high end level, because that's what you have to do for that specific game. And it's just, I don't know. Like, I'm not saying like you're entitled to spend your money how you want, but like, I don't see a small indie studio begging for money when I follow this project. That's just me personally, I guess.
Well, and I guess what it kind of tells me too is that I think Blue Squadron is a casual watcher of Ashes. And the reason why I
Yes.
say that is because, you know, he plays an MMORPG, which is BDO. So he's paying attention. And what I mean by paying attention, that means he watches like a video maybe once every month or every 2 months.
Yep.
He'll watch a video from Ashes. And I think that's how a lot, and I mean a lot of people, the average base, are consuming Ashes content. And because of how dense this game is, imagine someone doing that for Path of Exile. Path of Exile is a very huge game, very complex game. You're not going to be able to understand the nuances or even understand some even basic systems by watching a single video once a month or once every 2 months. And that's the problem. And I'm telling you, like, and we're going to get more people, more Blue Squadrons, more Lucky Ghosts when Alpha 2 comes out. It's going to be more rampant because they're going to have, they're not going to have the nuanced information of a person who's been consuming Ashes content on a daily basis, someone that literally entrenched themselves in our community and soaks up everything. It's just gonna get more and more misconstrued as time goes on.
Yep. And I think that's where I don't want to spend too much time talking about him, but one thing I will say is we gotta make sure we all do our part to, I don't want to use the word educate, but I guess that's probably the best word. Educate new viewers about Ashes, new content creators about Ashes, and stay true to that core community and just making sure everyone's informed and know what they're talking about and everything like that. I did want to get to two things here. Well, first one was a comment from a little while ago from Mr. Valentine 745 on Twitch. He says, How do you think the metrics will look like? How they are going to push patches with new classes coming out? With a new class coming out and a bunch of people moving over to test the class, how will they get accurate metrics about balancing and proper team composition when that will be thrown off from the way they will roll out new classes? So when you say new classes, I assume like when new archetypes are introduced over the course of Alpha 2, which I guess would be just the summoner that's not there at the launch of Alpha 2. Maybe it'll be the rogue. We don't know. But
Don't say
I
that.
think it'll be I think I think we'll be fine. I don't think everyone's gonna rush to test it at once. And of course, I think it'll work itself out over the course of Alpha 2. Like after 2 weeks, maybe everyone gets off, they get their testing done. And some people are just gonna be hardcore clerics. Some people are just gonna be this. They know what they like. They don't want to play the pet class. So I think we'll be fine, and I think we'll constantly get metrics. And if you're talking about new classes being introduced to Ashes of Creation, I personally can't see them ever doing that. It seems like it'll be something too complicated. Well, maybe way in the future, but like anytime soon, I don't want to have that conversation as of yet. But yeah, I think they'll be
Yeah.
fine. There is something I want to bring up. We have it in our official Voices of Verra previews. Once again, join the Voices of Verra Discord if you want to see some topics beforehand. Get a little sneak peek. And sometimes we don't get to these things for a long time. So, for example, this post that I'm referring to was posted on the 10th of last month, so about a month old. It's the one from commenter Phil Wall 1995. Sorry if I butchered that, and I'll get it for you guys to see here, chat. This is something that, yeah, this is something left on my channel. I want to say this was left under a Voices of Verra stream, you guys. Sorry, Phil, it's been a month, but I'm pretty sure he left this under. Yeah. He left this under a Voices of Verra stream, and I haven't even read this recently, but I know there's one sentence in here that really spoke out that I wanted us to elaborate on. I'll go ahead and start reading that. I think you guys will like this one. Thank you for the follow, Grogus. All right, so this is from Phil Wog 1995. He says, player bases don't stay loyal to games when they are a solo player. Long-term game success mandates having social aspects and a strong community feel to it. Solo players get bored and start looking for the next thing sooner rather than later. Don't get me wrong, I love me some solo play and am absolutely comfortable in the hermit life. But big picture thinking tells you that building a solid foundation of a great community is a big part of long-term planning. I mean, just look at the Voices of Verra crowd. Gamers are actively searching for other gamers to play and bond with. The online world is limitless. No game should try to be all things to all people. Prefer predominantly solo type of play? Cool. Find a game that suits you and party on, my friend. That's not the core of what Ashes is about. There will be solo aspects for sure, but it won't be the majority of the experience. That's by design. Complaining about it is like seeing dog crap on the ground and stepping in it anyway, only to complain about your shoe getting dirty.
Yep.
I heckin' love this comment.
Based.
I love this
Yes.
comment. It is, and I hate the mentality or the approach of like, well, go play another game if you don't like this. But it's really one of those like, if you, I really love everything they said. The main part that I really liked is what he said here very early on. Where he says basically solo players aren't the ones that's going to be there for long term. Think about your game that you have trouble putting down. Maybe you've quit, but you always come back. What about that game draws you? It's sometimes the community and the people and the friends and the bonds that you built with those friends over the course of a couple of years. That's why some people, maybe have WoW nostalgia. Like you remember being younger, getting off of work or coming home from school as a kid, and you boot up WoW. You had no stress, you had no bills, and maybe you had some friends that you played with. It's that nostalgia feel. It keeps drawing you back in. You're not going to be so attached to the thing that, oh, I got on here and I did this solo content, played by myself, and you don't get as much as a bond with the game when you don't have friends or a community built around said experience. And I think that's something very important when it comes to when we're making decisions about the development of Ashes of Creation, asking for things that we need to take into consideration, that Ashes of Creation is focusing on social aspects, is bringing that part of MMOs back.
Yeah.
I don't think it's exactly trying to leave solo players like completely out, but we see what their priority is. So let's not complain about, oh, well, what about solo players? Keep them in mind. You guys matter. There's gonna be some times where I want to do some stuff solo. I'm sure there's gonna be some stuff to do, but understand that you're gonna want to be social, whether that's through Discord, whether you're doing voice chat at a tavern, whether you're, just some guy hanging out on Reddit. I don't know, but you want to have some sort of guild, some sort of group of people you play with and meet throughout the world. And you're gonna need other people too.
I was just gonna say, nice, that one of my friends, she's played Final Fantasy 14 completely solo for, I don't know, the past couple of years. I don't remember how many years, but she's been playing it for years. Um, and she used to literally just play the story or do whatever content and then just unsubscribe, you know, whenever there's new content, she'd resubscribe, play along.
Mm,
It just until I think last year, around November time, because I remember because that's when I had my baby. Um, she found a housing community in Final Fantasy 14.
mm.
Ever since she's found that housing community of players, she's literally not unsubscribed of Final Fantasy
Good for
14.
her. That's fun.
Wow.
And I that's why when I was when you were reading that, it literally reminded me of my friend because she's having the time of her life now, because she is she's a hermit, like, and I tell her, I was like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
need to, and I told her about ashes all the time and stuff, but I said, you need to find a community in Final Fantasy. If you don't want to raid, I go, there's probably RP that you can do. And she's like, I never RP'd before, but she really wanted to get a house. And then because she wanted a house, she got into a housing community, and now she got a house because they helped her get one.
That's
Like, you know
so
Yeah.
what I
cool.
mean? And she has like people that she's playing with now. And that's the thing about MMORPGs that I think a lot of people have forgotten. It's those connections, man. Like, again, you can have really awesome experiences playing solo, but you're gonna remember the things when you have people with you. Like, every experience that I remember from WoW is always like a group-based experience that I still remember to this day. I can't really remember the time when I soloed the Lich King because of a transmog run, or I even the first time I beat the Mage Tower, right, which is a solo thing. Like, I don't even remember that. Like, I remember all of these core MMO memories because of these group-based experiences. And I don't know. That was such a goated comment of what he said.
That
Yeah.
was literally the perfect example, what you just said there, how big of a difference finding a crowd that, captivates or relates with her, like, and that took her in and talked with her, like, that made a huge difference, and guess what? Final Fantasy got richer because of it, because
Yep.
they
Yep.
what? They provided a social experience. I
Yep.
mean, it's
Right.
that simple.
Yeah, I got a comment from Pockets over here, and he says, "Community is why why I went back to WoW. I didn't miss the game. I missed my guild and the boys." And yeah, I agree with you. And I apologize, guys. I might go on a small rant here because this is all tying in a bunch of different things. But it's funny because Vlhadus, that was a great story about your friend, and I completely agree with you about like guild stories and everything, because your friend interactions in different games just makes it just magnifies the enjoyment that you had. Like, I remember I did the first time I got Flawless Conquer for a solo arena. This is way back in the day, but the first time I got it, the first thing I did is I messaged my fucking group, and I was like, guys, guess what
Yeah.
I fucking got? And because we were all trying for the exact same thing, and I beat everybody to it, and it was a great experience. And it was like, guys, I can't believe I did this. It's great. And so it was one of those, like, we're all struggling through the same content, even though it's a solo thing, but we're together in being angry about this solo content. And it's funny because I've talked about this a lot, but I'll play an MMO or a game for a specific reason. I don't want another game that I play to be exactly like that. And I'm following Ashes as a more solo PvP ESO player. I'm not over here like saying, hey, like, we need to have solo PvP in Ashes of Creation. We need to have this. We need to have this. I like what Ashes is doing for as far as like what their goal is, what their mission statement is, because I buy into the idea of how communicative this game is going to be, and how dramatic some points are going to be, and how much fun all of that will be to experience and last for a long amount of time. And I'm really looking forward to that. And it got me thinking, like, as I'm reading this guy's comment, like, so I don't know what video this is off of, Nice, but like, you see these parts, like, if you don't want to do this, go do this. And it, like, how many times we've had this discussion about, we have players or content creators that come into the space that talk about this game, and they're like, hey, we need PvE servers, or we need to do this, or we need to do this. So like, this game needs to have this, or it's not going to succeed. You need to have this in order to make money. You guys don't matter. And it's like, guys, read the freaking room. Like you have a bunch of people buying into Alpha 2, over 100,000 people, the last we heard last year, buying in Alpha 2 because they're excited about what this project actually is. And then you have other people going like, yeah, but you don't matter. You don't matter. Like but
BBL did it this way.
Yeah, our money's more important. And it's just, I don't know. It's so infuriating to see, because it's like, clearly they're on the right path. There's a reason, you know, they broke Kickstarter records. There's a reason so many people are interested in a game that won't be out for 3 years at the earliest, in my opinion. There's a reason a bunch of people are watching this podcast right now. It's because they like the direction of this game. And you still have people like, oh yeah, well, you should probably get rid of this and make it more like PvE friendly, or you need to make it survival based or something like that. And it bugs me to no end. It really, like, this one thing just bugs the shit out of me. And yeah, I just had to rant on it a little bit.
Shimura had a comment to you, Noah. He says, I never really thought about PvP open world until ALC. I can't wait to experience it in a world where there isn't any quick tutorials that give you the best rotations, etc., and best gear to get. A world that everyone is learning off rip. That's something very important to keep in mind. We're all coming into this fresh. Like, we got the wiki. We hear Steven talk like all this and that. We're gonna all be babies. We're gonna all be learning this together. Like,
Yes.
I also was talking earlier how me and him are going to come in. We're going to test how mitigation works. So we're going to do all the little nerdy math, like, okay, this times this, or you need at least this much crit chance, or crit damage is nullified, but all that nerdy stuff that you guys maybe or maybe don't care about. And like, we're going to learn that together. Like, I don't know. I've never been on the ground floor of an MMO. Like, I played Elder Scrolls Online when it first launched, but I played it on console and it was already on PC for a little while. So the learning as a community, like when we stream this game, like there's gonna be some people who don't have an Alpha 2 key, and their whole experience is gonna be what we're experiencing is watching Steven play. They're gonna be watching us play, and we're gonna be learning together. Like, hey, Else, why is this doing so much damage to you? Or like, and then we learn that, oh, because Else has this rogue passive, he's doing more damage, but I'm doing more damage to Else because of this, or he's doing more damage to me because of this, or and maybe he's playing a class that I'm not playing. Like, damn, how'd you do that? Oh, like, well, I'm a rogue. I have this passive that does 20% more damage if I attack someone from their flank. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And he hasn't played the tank yet. And he's like, dude, why am I not doing any damage? And that's, I'm like, oh, well, you haven't played the tank yet. But if you, I have this one passive that, or this class skill, if I activate this grit skill or whatever, that's why you weren't doing a lot of damage to me right there, etc., etc. 1v1 me on Rust, like that's gonna be a really fresh experience. Like, and then I think we're gonna look back on it like come launch or 4 years from now. We're gonna be like, what the hell were we talking about? We were way off with that. Like, what? Why not just do this? Like, like I'm sure I'm sure if you go back and watch one of your first ESO videos, if I go do the same, fun fact, I actually did that. I actually uploaded the first 1v2 I got in ESO, and I still have that video unlisted, and I still like to watch it once a year. Like, look at me, what am I doing? Like, can you light attack weave that better? Little stuff like that. I still have that little bit, and I was so proud of this. Actually, no, it was a 1v3, I think. Yeah, it might have been a 1v3.
So,
and I was so happy I uploaded it to YouTube. I was like, oh, look at me, I'm a PvP badass. I probably just got lucky, but it felt so good. And now when I look at that gameplay compared to recent gameplay, I'm just like, the hell? And I think that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Really quick, I'm sorry, Vlhadus. One thing, you're good. The one thing like that I'm really, really excited about this game as a content creator, is the fact that we're all PVX players. And I know we've said it before, but coming for me personally, like we came from ESO, did content for ESO for years, and then went to New World, did New World content. And the thing is like you have different areas that have different rule sets, whether you do trials, dungeons, open world, you have different optimize builds for doing different things, right? When we're going to be out in Verra enjoying the world, we're all the same players experiencing the same world together. And there's going to be closed off instance based content for PvE and everything. But the cool part is the vast majority of the content, we're just players. We're just players that, like, we're going to occasionally get ganked. We're going to have wars with other people. We're all coming from the exact same background. And it's the development team is hyper focused on making the best game for all players that are falling into that same specific base. And it's just going to be really cool that, like, when I make a build in the future or I cover content in the future, it applies to almost the entire game. And I think that's great. It kind of unifies the community instead of separates it the way other games have separated in the past.
Yes, no splitting of the community is something I'm really looking forward to. Like being able to just post a build or a guide, and it's just like, oh, this is for everybody. This isn't like, I know we've talked about it so much, so I won't keep ragging on. And I think you hit the nail on the head there. But like, it just sucks seeing PvEers hate PvPers and PvPers hate PvEers and blaming them for this and blaming them for that. So yeah,
Well, we need both to coexist in Ashes.
Exactly.
Like Ashes can't survive with only PvPers playing the game.
Yep.
Like
Fact.
the systems that are in place, a lot of them will be completely disregarded by PvPers because that's not what they like, but that's what PvEers like. And you need kind of like a yin and yang to really make Ashes thrive, because you need a healthy balance of both. So what I was basically going to say, I'm actually really looking forward to playing with the content creators. Like, I think the amount of content that could be just the amount of fun that we could have in being like, oh, Nice has a caravan run and I know he's running it. Let's go attack him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or, just like that kind of approach. And that's just like a small example. Just imagine like the content wars that we can have. Like you have like, 2v2s, or we can have like a content creator tournament with like our communities and stuff like that. Like that's going to be the thing that I feel Alpha 2 is going to be very special for me. Is the fact of just being able to not only collab with the content creators that we've been making a content for a game that didn't exist, and now it does exist, and we're literally doing it. Like that's going to be cool.
I think the collaborations of things like doing dungeons together, fun things like Vlhadus Exposed and
For
really
sure.
cool positive stuff like that. Penham says, or Jamie crying because Else killed him. Yeah, little stuff like that. Robbing caravans.
It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be so good. Like, dude, I haven't played a game where I can literally attack someone when I want to.
Yeah.
Like, corruption stuff aside, but I've never played a game where like it was that easy. I don't like you. I'm gonna go through corruption for an hour or two. I'm sorry. Like I this needs to happen. I saw what you typed there. Stuff like that is gonna be interesting.
Going off what you said, Vlhadus, like it's funny because most MMOs in the space right now are very theme park-esque, point A to point B. You just keep ascending your character. And this is more sand park. And so it's like, okay, yes, it's going to have it's going to be MMO based, but like you can draw a lot of comparisons to like Grand Theft Auto, of like the freedom that players have in GTA. And you look at like the oldest, like the most recent GTA, it's been out for years, but there's still so many people that follow that game because of the amount of like role playing you can do, the amount of interactions you can have with other players, the amount of freedom that the game gives you. And I'm not saying it's the same game or anything like that, but the amount of freedom that Ashes is going to give us so we can hang ourselves with other content creators is going to be so fucking funny. Like it's going to be so funny every single time. And that's what I'm looking forward to, is just the fact, like, if all of a sudden Vlhadus just one day is like, guys, I had a 60-hour week this week and my kid has been awake every single night. I just want to hop on the game and kill Nice over and over and over again because it's funny.
Take my frustrations out.
I'm just gonna kill Nice and it's gonna be funny. And like he gets to go do that. Like Nice can't. It's gonna be great. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be, I think, a lot of different kinds of content that's gonna be really cool.
Yeah,
not only from a content creator perspective, but from just a community perspective too. Like, and I think that's what, when I hear Steven say you're not gonna be able to play a game, I really think that's on us content creators to make a game loop for people, right? To
Yes.
make some kind of a content that people can rely on and enjoy and have some form of entertainment with. Like
Yes.
that's what a content creator is supposed to do. We're entertainers at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so I think that if we as a collective content creator group can do that, I think it's going to be a very entertaining and educational and hopefully like a great feedback loop, because I've had my community was saying like, oh, I don't know if I want to leave feedback on the forums because it might get lost. But like Vlad, like you're gonna be, a content creator for Ashes. Like, so what if I
Mhm.
just give you my feedback and then you can put it and we can make it like a community like spreadsheet kind of thing. And I was like, oh, that's a really, really good idea.
Yep.
Because again, like there's gonna be a lot of times where you kind of feel like, not heard. And I hope, all of us are content creators for Ashes, like official ones. And again, if we can have that kind of dialogue where I can send my specific feedback directly to Roshan or Vacnar, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
going to go to Corey and to Chad or Trad and all these developers for them to see that. I'm already so excited for that because I literally left my feedback in Blizzard at a black hole.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it never got seen.
Yep.
And I'm sure for you as ESO players, it probably felt like that. You probably as New World players, you felt like that as well. Like, and it's going to be very nice to be in a situation where I can literally submit a 32-page document of notes and feedback,
Mhm.
and I know without a shadow of a doubt they will read it.
Yep.
Like that
Yes.
already just hypes me.
Yeah, and what you're talking about with content and everything, I'm sorry, I just keep going back to like what I talked about on Friday, but like I also watched Jimmy's video, and Jimmy was talking about how like new MMOs can compete with old MMOs, and my point of view in that video when I was watching it, I was like, the game that is going to catch up to other games that are 10 and 20 years old that have had 10 to 20 years of making content is you make player creatable content. You need to open up the rules for a game to be more like a Grand Theft Auto style sandbox game, which is what Ashes is doing. It's allowing they're allowing us to hang ourselves or to work together or to do anything. And so I'm excited about the PvP stuff, obviously, but I'm also just excited about engaging with the community and interacting and partaking in a bunch of other things. I want to go to Thogly's in the chat, guys. So I just brought it up because I see his name.
Dunehold, what?
Yeah, I want to go to Dunehold and I want to see their entire node. I want to go experience the dwarf area, and hopefully, I'm not segregated against because I've been making dwarf jokes for 3 years. I'm hoping not, but if I am, I understand. So, but yeah, like there's so many different things about what this game could be and like what the content creators can do, and like the last thing I'll say is I'm sure you guys know who Jinxie is as a content creator, but he basically revived one game by himself as a content creator. And so it's just kind of funny. Like you look and see like what groups of people interacting and engaging can do. And like, this is how you're going to create a fun community that's going to enjoy your game. It's like you have people making stuff and trying out different things. And I think Ashes is going to be perfect for that, even if like content is a little sparse as far as like the storyline and questing goes.
You get to see that actual sand park portion, that theme park really come to life and really shine and let players do what they want in Alpha 2. Because there's got to be a point, depending on how rapid that content rolls out, there's going to be a point where we run out of content, perhaps. And that's when it's going to be on the community. That's when it's going to be on the content creators to find stuff to test, find stuff to do, role play a little bit. I don't know, test things. Something that Vlhadus made me think about with what he was saying, where he was like, he can actually submit a 32-page document, or how someone said, hey, they're going to listen to you. Let me give you my feedback. You know what that got me to thinking about, else? Remember when ESO first came out and you had the OGs, Cypher, PK. Yes, Cypher PK used to play our MMO. Okay, that's how he got on the scene. Just had to remind you guys. So Cypher PK, when he played ESO, Fang Rush, and I think it was King Richard.
Yes,
I forgot the name of their podcast or what they did, but
this is ESO was their podcast.
This is ESO. They were in touch with the devs. And I don't know if they did it weekly, bi-weekly, or whatever, but they would come together, the 3 biggest content creators for the game, and they would say, hey, Dragonite is still too strong, or this keeps bugging out, et cetera, et cetera. And basically, when you can get content creators to come together like that, gather community feedback, present it in that format, and the devs or the community managers that's responsible over the content creator team or whoever, and I think the community managers would be over that in that scenario, but when you can have a message go out and know that your message, they don't got to do what you say, first of all, but to
Yeah.
know that you are at least heard and considered, and like the devs at least hear these voices of Vera, um that's a good feeling. That's a good feeling. And yes, Intrepid's community team has been, yes, very amazing. Like, and I would love to see that continue. But yeah, if everyone comes together, there's probably going to be content creator things where you got a direct plug to, do that. But that's something I would like to do. Like, everyone keeps going to keep their own streams, right? Everyone's going to keep their own podcast, their own duos, trios, whatever have you. But if there could be something where the Ashes of Creation community as a whole comes together like once a month, review everything. What happened this month? What needs fixing? What is the community saying? How are people feeling? Are we running out of content? What do we need?
Yeah.
And then put that in a concise positive feedback or positive critique thing to present to the devs and community team, and they could just take notes from that or whatever. I think that would be big.
Yeah.
That would be big.
Well,
absolutely.
Yeah, you already see it now where like they'll pull different clips from different content creators and stuff and provide feedback, and they don't have to say yes to us on everything we want to see, but like actually hearing an answer on the big stuff that is being echoed kind of everywhere, like whether it's a yes or no, at least understanding the reasoning is so nice to know that like we saw this, we acknowledge it, we disagree. And and so it reminds me of the Helldivers one a few like a month ago now. They were like, yeah, we're not going to get rid of team killing in the game because it's funny. And it's like, okay, I totally get it. That's all they said. They're like, we think it's funny, so we're keeping it in game. Okay, thank you for acknowledging that some people wanted no team killing. Like, that's great.
Yes.
So
that goes really far with people. Like, you'd be really surprised. Like, how many of you have worked a job where you had to tell a customer no? The whole customer is always right thing is not true, guys. Newsflash, the customer is not always right. And sometimes you have to tell a customer no, and tell them about themselves. Like, hey, I get your complaint. I see why you feel that way, but here's why. Now, obviously, you're going to have just irate people like, what do you mean you don't agree with me? Where's your manager? I want the manager's manager. You're going to get those kind of people. But occasionally, with level-headed people, you can tell them, you can disagree with them and refuse what they want, and they'll at least understand, or you at least will come to a compromise if you could tell them why. And that's really big. That's a really big thing to know for anyone in marketing, anyone that's a community manager, anyone that works in customer service. Is like, hey, I hear your complaint. I hear your feedback. Oh, you feel this way? Hey, oh yeah, that does kind of suck. But here's the reason why it's this way. Here's why I can't do anything about that. Here's why I can't help you. Here's why I can't refund you. But we'll keep this in mind for the future. But you can give someone bad news. You can disagree with them. It's how you do it. And just at least letting that person know. Some people just want to complain and know that they're heard. You guys ever have like your girl vent to you? Just like let me tell you about Becky at work. That she keeps touching the thermostat, and you just gotta listen to that like, hey, I get it. Yep. I hate Becky too. Yeah. Like, sometimes you just gotta girlfriend. What's that? Like, sometimes you just gotta hear people out. Not the most direct comparison, but you guys get what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, it's all I'll say is that it's going to be nice to be able to leave feedback for a gaming company that actually cares about it. And I actually just saw that 11th Hour Games, the creators of Last Epoch, came out with a Google Forms because they just came out with some information of like their 4 major cycles that are coming out. And they gave the community a thing to submit for their internal stuff for feedback. And I'm like, dude, I really hope Intrepid does that. I would
Cool.
love if they were to put out like a Google Forms of like, hey, we're going to ask like 20 questions of like, from not at all to amazing, like, what do you
Yeah.
think of this, and have like questions that we can
Yeah.
actually go from like scales and like how we feel about certain things or certain interactions or certain systems and stuff like that. Like, I think having that kind of a concise thing to let them know would be kind of cool.
Mhm.
But I guess like the only thing is that with Ashes, like, they would have to word those questions in a very specific manner, because
Mhm.
again, like, if you were just to say like, oh, how do you feel about PvP, like in a very general sense, right? You can have all the PvEers be like, we hate it,
Yeah.
disagree, or
Yeah.
whatever, right? So you kind of have to work these questions, if you are going to do something like that, in a very specific way, to be able to give proper credence to the foundational pillars and the core of what Ashes is. But also, like, again, I don't want to play a system that's not fun. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, that's me at the end of the day. Like, I want
Yes.
every system to be fun. Um, but I don't want it to take away from what the core image of that system is supposed to do.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, I really do hope, getting that feedback is going to be critically important. So yeah, I don't know.
And
It's,
look out
it's
for people
exciting.
with ulterior motives.
Oh, because that's going to happen. And again, you're going to have
Mhm.
whole communities of people.
New content creators and everyone pushing their narrative and ulterior motives. Mhm.
Yeah, think of like Blue Squadron, and his whole community voting, for something against Ashes because they're upset about something or whatever.
Mm.
So it's going to happen.
Yep. No, absolutely. It's so one thing that New World does structurally, in my opinion, really well is they have a monthly Q&A with their development team. And so that on their Discord, they'll have like the 5 biggest, like most upvoted questions about different things, and they'll answer it in a Q&A and post it on YouTube. And it's, look, New World's not in a great spot, but that functionally what they do with that specific thing is great.
Yes. I
Because
will say that, yeah.
because like when things happen in the game that the player base doesn't, like, they don't know why it happened, they don't understand, having that developer come through and say, we did this for this reason, we noticed this, like, hey, we noticed in arenas this was way too powerful, they're winning way more often, we needed to tone this specific thing back when we were looking at interactions, that's why we went forward and did it, and we'll continue to evaluate it later. It's nice knowing as a player, like, hey, they're looking at specifically this thing that I have an issue with. And yeah, that goes so far for making a good game. It goes so
Oh,
far.
absolutely.
Like, I've come to the point personally where if it's a good development team, even if the game starts off not so good, like a good development team will take you there. And I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's huge.
Well, look
That
at No Man's Sky.
well said.
Yeah.
No Man's Sky started off a disastrously. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Same thing with New World. And I wanted to ask y'all a question, because y'all are New World people. I do not play New World at all. I personally think New World is sort of doomed. I don't know if New World can really turn it around. I know they have some major announcement coming up in June, but in you guys' opinion, because you guys really played New World, you like the systems in New World, you like the concept of New World. Do you think New World has to do something of like a Final Fantasy 14 approach of just like a cataclysmic event to end and kind of almost rebuild New World like in a whole 2.0 kind of way? Do you think that would save New World, or maybe like get players to come back? Because I honestly don't know what would get players to come back. Like, I don't.
So I'm gonna pull something up on my screen really quick.
Okay.
Um
I have a lot to
I
say.
did a whole video on this. Yeah. So this is the title of my video right here, Vlhadus.
Oh no, I saw that video.
Yeah, and in that video, that's exactly what I think is the case. I literally suggest they need to do a Final Fantasy 14s kind of thing. Like I really think that would be big. I think it could save it. I think some sort of rebrand is
But what
needed. I
but what would they do? Like okay, you're gonna do a whole two, but what is it and what would you want from a New World 2.0? Like, what would they have to fundamentally, because again, and if you look at Final Fantasy 14 at a 1.0 version, they changed a lot. It was Final Fantasy A Realm Reborn was literally a whole different game. Like, there were some comparisons, but a lot of systems, combat got completely revamped
yeah.
from 1.0 to 2.0. So I guess in your mind, Nice, what does a New World 2.0 look like?
Ooh, that is a good question. I don't know if I have the answer for. I
I
would say content. Just content. And I don't know if going offline gets you content. Like I don't know if you
Mm.
take a full break like Final Fantasy 14 did. There's more stuff I could say that goes too much deep into New World, but I think overall some sort of revamp, some sort of rebrand is indeed what they need. What was you gonna say else?
Okay. So nice. Anytime you find something you disagree with me on, just briefly interrupt, because like I think I have I have a little bit to say here. So in my opinion, New World is rudderless. Like, since we're talking about naval content, like we want a direction and everything. They're just rudderless. They're not catering to end game players. Their new player experience is honestly dog shit until I don't know what their new play. I know they did the main story quest line and they revamped it. I don't know if it's good enough yet or not, but it's the way I explained it is the game right now is catered to players that are stubborn enough to get through about 20 to 30 hours of grinding and leveling stuff up and then get to end game. And then when they get to end game, you have roughly 500 to 1,000 hours of repeatability content before you get burned out because you're bored because there's nothing else to do anymore. And so there's only like eight expeditions, which is their dungeons. There's only one trial, like large scale trial. There's only one OPR map. There's only 2 arena maps, and they rotate those every 2 weeks. So you play the same map every 2 weeks for 2 weeks before they rotate to the next one. And so there's not, so it's like you play something, you want to play something, but you just get bored. It's like playing the same Call of Duty map over and over and over again. And so you look at it and you go, okay, if you want to cater to new players, you make more quests and you make you say, hey, you know what, we're going to make the best fucking quest line game, crafting game, because the crafting and like harvesting is really good. If that's the route you want to go, you just go fucking balls deep into that, right? If you want to cater to the end game players, you have to start expanding OPRs, you have to expand arena maps, you have to expand expeditions. You need to start actually doing those things instead of releasing like one expedition every year and one trial in 3 years and expecting it to be enough. And it's the lack of content, and then it's just the emptiness, because what happens is like they have the smaller servers of 3,000 people, which is good for performance. The performance is actually really good when you get in large scale areas, but the problem with a smaller server is once the server dies, there's nothing to do. There's nothing to do. Like I just told Nice like 3 days ago, I was like, hey Nice, I kind of want to go back to New World, and he's like, dude, there's nothing to do. And I'm like, you're right. and I was like, you're right, I do want to go back and play.
A weakness.
I want to go back, but there's nobody to PvP with because the servers are dead. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, I'm going to go there and I'm going to PvP nobody. And so for me, like, I liked Nice's video. I agree with Nice's video, but I'm waiting for the June reveal of what they're talking about because they've been really quiet. I want to see what that is before I make my own. Because if it...
And I'm so sorry to cut you off.
No, I told you.
They did reveal the June thing. It's a PvP thing is all they said. That's all they said, though. They said it's a PvP thing is all that we can tell you guys.
Yeah, and so if it's the same thing as what the PTR was, so people got on the public test server for New World, and there's supposed to be an entire zone that's always on PvP where it's a free-for-all area. And so you can fight anybody. So like Nice and we could be in the same group, and all of a sudden we can just be like, hey, we're fucking boxing now, dude. And like we could just start fighting each other there. And so depending on how they do that, that could be a shit ton of repeatable content because it's a sandbox area. It could be really good. Like if they do that and they open up things for console, like console players are going to have a great time with that game. They're not going to have the same retention issues PC had. But they're going to still have to continue coming out with content. They have a good head start with console players. PC players right now, like, they fucked a lot of people over. And so that it's going to have to be something big like that. A big PvP area or like 4 new trials or a shit ton of expeditions to get people back.
I just don't. I don't. And again, I'm not trying to talk crap, but I don't have faith in their development team. Their lead game designer, I don't think has the vision for New World.
Yeah.
I think they're literally just they're grasping at straws. Like every single time that I hear him and I hear the development team talk, I don't see them confident in what they're talking about. I don't see, like, they're just seeing what can stick. Like, what can we do? And I also feel like there can be things that, like what you're saying, right? Because what you're talking about are major changes, and they're trying to band-aid the game still.
Yeah.
And this is why I also don't have faith in Lord of the Rings, because this
Yes.
is the same team that's
Yep.
this is
Yeah.
the same reason why I always, when people say, "Oh, WoW 2, I want a WoW 2 so bad." It's like, it's gonna be made by
It's
the
gonna be
same
awful.
team that's made World of
Yeah.
Warcraft. Like, it's not gonna be good. Like, why are you trying to advocate for a WoW 2?
Exactly.
Like, and that's why, like, it's just, I get so upset because it's such a waste.
Yeah.
It's like, if you just could hire somebody that loves New World and actually has like a vision for the game,
Yes.
and just say with some cojones that, hey, we're going to completely change this game. We're going to go back to what it should have been. We're going to go full loot survival game, and that's what the game's going to be. And we're going to go deep in that. And again, it's like, you could hate it or love it, but I just want someone to say with
Yes.
direction and with passion of what they want New World to be.
Yeah.
Because I feel like even to this day, they don't have a direction.
It's absolutely
Nah.
it's absolutely rudderless. There's no direction at all. They're just kicking. They're treading water, and they're trying to
It's
fix.
funny.
They're trying to fix their stuff, and it's just, I don't know the direction. I wouldn't even care. Like, nice if they said that they were going to do a new crafting experience, like for new players, and it's a more casual game. Would you care? Because
Nope.
I'd be like, okay, cool. Thank you for choosing your direction, because I want you to fucking do something.
Yeah, they have no. It's kind of. I don't want to. I don't want to say it this way. It's the only way I know how to say it right now. The opposite issue that Ashes have. Like, Ashes has so much direction, we just don't have the game yet. Like,
Yeah.
Steven has, like, we got a whole freaking Wikipedia of what to expect, how this gonna work, what we want to do in the long term, what's our goals. All that is set in stone. It's just a matter of actually implementing it. It's a matter of actually getting the systems online, finding the infrastructure, just getting those assets ready. Whereas New World is just like, let's do this. Let's do a new dungeon. And like, oh, wait, we completely forgot about the PvP. Those guys been playing the same PvP map for 3 years. Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing? You need a sense of direction. You need a game plan. They don't have a roadmap this year. They don't. Let's stop talking about that game. Let's move forward.
No. Let's keep talking about it. I want to hear Nice get angry. No, it's
But I was gonna say, I just think you can't recover from, and we've talked about this before. We don't have to get back into it, but a bad release is a bad release. There's no coming back. You could get better. You can have an okay release, a disappointing release, even. You can't have a bad release with no content. And I don't know. I'd like to. Well, I guess we could go ahead and end it off here. We don't want to hold Vlhadus hostage too much longer. Once again, I want to say thank you to Vlhadus for just hopping on last second.
thank you, Vlhadus.
It wasn't planned at all. We had no one planned. We were just about to start. I was just sitting there. I was like, I was looking at the topics we had planned for today. I was like, okay, that's enough to carry a whole stream. And I was like, man, AMAs this week. Let's get like more of a, I don't know, an extra voice in the room. We actually didn't even get to AMA stuff, really. I just remembered that. God dang it. I blame Vlhadus. I blame Vlhadus. I just realized we got another person with AMA. We really didn't spend time talking about questions and stuff. There was a
No, we did talk about questions.
You guys'
We
questions are going to be good.
Yeah.
Your guys' questions are going to be good.
okay.
Yeah, we talked about questions.
So I'd like to do a couple of plugs here before we close out. Well, reminders, I should say. First off, make sure you guys are following Else, Twitch, YouTube, and of course our all right. Someone banned Penumbral. He said plug this. Oh, yeah, uncalled for. Uncalled for. But make sure you guys are obviously following our guest Vlhadus here. Make sure you follow him on YouTube as well. Vlhadus just hit 1K, you guys. 1K on YouTube. That is a huge milestone. Huge milestone. So make sure you guys keep getting that number up. Really appreciate Vlhadus stopping by last second. Obviously make sure you guys are followed here on Twitch if you forgot, YouTube, no matter which one you actually watch on. I appreciate the support. And AMA Friday, once again, AMA Friday. We got our questions ready. You'll see myself and Vlhadus as well as some other glorious content creators. We appreciate you guys. I'm excited. I'm off work Friday. I didn't like no. I am off work Friday, Um, Vlhadus, are you? No, you're East time zone, aren't you?
No, I'm central.
Oh, you are Central. Oh, that's weird. All three of us are Central. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Don't tell him.
Dude,
All
we
right.
should go live before and just kind of like, you know, have like a little bit of a waiting room, I guess, and just talk until like the live stream. I don't know if Margaret, because I know Margaret might pull us in early, but you know,
Yeah, I know
I'll,
they're
I'm
pulling us in early. If
I'm
anything,
off.
I wouldn't mind getting on a Discord call or anything.
Yeah.
You know, something I haven't done is actually ask my questions out loud. So let's just practice talking
Oh
to each
yeah.
other.
Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be good.
I'm gonna get to my first question. Like, hi, Steven. What is your opinion on
if
the corruption system?
if anybody knows from my chat, I suck at reading. Like I suck at reading. But
Yeah,
I mean,
corruption's funny.
hopefully I can read my questions in a way that isn't like deranged. Who
I'm looking
knows?
forward
Yeah.
to it. I think you guys are gonna do great. Like I understand like you're getting leading up to that point, but yeah, it's just you get to answer a bunch of questions that other people aren't going to be able to, and you have the entire community breathing down your neck that's going to yell at you if you get it wrong. So you guys
Oh, yeah.
you guys are going to do it right. It'll be fine.
Yeah, something I need to go ahead and warn
No
Vlhadus
pressure.
about, especially
No
from
pressure.
watching previous Q&As. You will not please everybody. You
Oh, 100%.
something like someone DM'd me something. Someone DM'd me something saying like, "Hey, what I forgot which question they didn't like, but they DM'd me how they didn't like one of my questions, right?" And
Mhm.
then they submitted some questions, and I looked at their question, and I was like, "Oh, you got some nerve."
Yeah. Good question.
Like,
He
I said it
showed
more
them to me.
polite than that.
He showed them to me, and I'm like, oh my god, don't listen to him.
Yeah,
No,
like,
those
I was
are
like,
terrible
really,
questions.
really, you don't like my question? Okay, let's go with yours. But no, we won't please everybody, but hopefully the goal is to not like everyone's not gonna get the question that they want, the question that they will ask.
Right.
But I think the goal is let's come away with some new information, a new
Yeah.
understanding, and some progress with our Ashes of Creation knowledge, and just get Steven talking. I think that's the goal. Did y'all have
Yeah.
any repeat questions? No repeat questions.
No. I honestly I will say this. We all worked really hard to come up with the questions we did. I
Yes.
mean, and I want to thank the community and everything. I mean, I know Jamie worked hard, I worked hard, Nice worked hard, Loreforge worked hard. I mean, again, I loved last year's AMA. I mean, I was so happy for Richie to get on there.
Yeah.
Chibri. But you know, there was a lot of questions that were asked that were, you know, just seeing that response from the community, right? So we tried
Uh-huh.
our best to make sure that every question that we ask is a legit question that, you know,
Yeah.
deserves some
Yeah.
answers, you know.
We
So,
did.
Yeah, I just saw so much unnecessary probably levels of outrage from people like, oh, why did he or she ask that question? What the
Yeah.
heck? Why, who cares about that? You should ask them about this and that. Like hell, even this round of questions, I've seen people I've seen a content creator criticize Vlhadus questions, my questions, this person question. I'm like, we're just trying to get information. Everyone's not going to get pleased by everyone's questions. Like I can't stress
right.
that enough. I can't stress that enough.
Yeah. It's 20 questions, not the unveiling of the entire video game. So that's what it comes down
Yeah.
to. And yeah, like I Vlhadus, I know you've been working hard on it. I know Loreforge has been working hard on it. I've been seeing like a lot of it like feedback in the background. And Nice and I we workshopped with the community last week for hours on the live stream. And then Nice
Yeah.
has been workshopping in the Discord with people, really trying to make the best. You guys already said it, but like in my opinion, open-ended questions are the best. Like the more you can get Steven talking, the more you get to actually hear a little bit more, and hopefully like Steven takes the bait on some of these things and really expands on some of your guys' questions in a big way. But yeah, so some questions like, are there going to be bows in PvP in Alpha 2? It's like, bro, Alpha 2 is like 3 months away. This is what you want to ask? Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on. We'll know when we get there.
Yeah, like the Alpha 2 questions, like what. Yeah, actually, here, let me go on. We were supposed to be wrapping up stream. God dang, you got me about to go on a rant. You know, at this point, we might as well hit the 2-hour mark on a dot. We're at 148, but nah. Like that. My thing is, first off, I want to read this comment from Oracle that I love here in chat. He says, I don't need to argue with everyone. Heck, we are waiting for a game that depends on having different opinions and going to war
Yes,
because of them. Ooh, yeah, I love it.
that's well
Um,
said.
Preach.
preach. Something I want to say to me, what's going to be in Alpha 2 questions aren't, they're not saying that they're bad because it could be some useful information, but to me, they're not important. We're about to find that out anyway in 3 months. What I'm
Yes.
interested in is systems. What's your ideology or your perspective on this? What's your approach for this? What is your reason for this? How will this work? I don't need to know like how many biomes are going to be in Alpha 2. I'm gonna find that out in 2 months. Like,
Right.
like why is that worth it? Like, what will you do with that knowledge? Like, tell me, like, okay, if you find out, if you know 3 biomes are going to be active at the start of Alpha 2, if that's what you want to use one of your only 5 questions on, he's gonna say 3. And you're like, well, all right then. I know that now. What is that going to change in your preparation up to Alpha 2? Like, you get
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, to
Yeah.
me, not saying that because there are some good, like one of mine was actually, what is the weapons list? Like, that was one that was important for me. I eventually changed that with some feedback. I just don't think we need to know anything Alpha 2 really. I'd rather learn about a whole system or something like that, or an approach to something, or what we can expect versus, you know, is this race going to be in Alpha 2? Is it going to be at the launch of Alpha 2?
Right.
I know that now because
Yeah.
that's what I picture in my head is someone saying, well, all right. Like, okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna
And
find that out in 3 months.
I know for me, like when I would talk to Steven for my 1v1, I want to ask him a lot of open-ended questions. Like, what is your philosophy on like how do you see the finished product of questing? Like how do you see a game loop happening for a person who's leveling? Like
Yes.
and going from point A to point B. Like what are Mariner classes for naval? Can you expand on them? How many Mariner classes can one choose from? Like I there's a lot of like what is the philosophy of someone predominantly just being out on sea? Like
Yeah.
what is the game loop? Is it just killing ships, caravan runs, and world bosses? Or are
Yep.
there going to be naval quests that you can actually go and experience in ships? Is there going to be certain constellations that are out there that you can only have out there instead of inland? Like
Yeah.
there's like a lot of crap I want to know, like because
Yeah.
there's just I think so much.
It's so far away too. It'd be
Yeah,
good to know
exactly.
soon.
And something to keep in mind: interview questions and AMA questions can be, it's totally a different vibe. Like,
Yeah.
Oh
I,
yeah.
like I got a
100%.
list of 20 questions I got if Steven pops up in chat right now, but that the difference between that and like an AMA format is like a little different, especially when you got a limited amount of questions and you're trying to factor in community feedback. It's just a different environment. Yeah.
I
Go ahead.
I was gonna say nice. I don't know if you kept the question or not, but like a good question. It's a good question in my opinion, regardless. But since we're talking about naval, somebody brought up on the podcast last week, wanted to hear your feedback on this, Vlhadus, as well. They're like, hey, we're going to be on ships and the ocean is huge. What types of activities are you going to have for people on these big ships to feel like they're participating in open sea, like game, like what type of gameplay loops are there for people on the ship? Or are you
Right.
just sitting there doing nothing while somebody else drives it? Because
Right.
if it's the latter, you'd probably be bored out of your mind. And so like hearing that would be really good. Like it's obviously it's just small enough to where they could expand on it. Like, yeah, we're going to have, maybe you encounter something and it damages your ship and you're going to have to go around for repairs. Like he can expand on that. Like, yeah, crewmen are going to be able to do stuff. And
Yeah, I thought that was a good question too.
yeah, like that's
This guy paddles, this guy adds fuel, like how they do at the freehold and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I think Steven did say that at least for the galleons, that those ships are not going to be operated by one person. Like you
Yes.
need multiple people to operate like a 40-man
Yeah.
ship, and I think that's really really cool.
I would
But
love to see those jobs.
I just want to see like what their current way of thinking of how naval works. Like we know certain things you can do, but like what is a gameplay loop that you do as far as
Yes.
if you just want to be a pirate, if you just want to be out in naval?
You said something very important there, and I like that you said it. You said, what is their way of thinking?
Yes.
That's the kind of stuff I think makes
Exactly.
for a good AMA. That's the kind of stuff I think gets Steven talking. And like
Yes.
El said, the open-ended questions. Like, what is your way of thinking of this? What's your perspective on this? What are your plans for this? Not like, what is Zen Alpha 2? Like, there's so much more there's so much more potential there.
Right.
I just want to answer some. I had one last question. Someone said, "Is there a link to see these questions somewhere?" Ours is in the Voices of Verra Discord, and if you just go to the pinned comment in the main chat, you'll see the last iteration of questions that will be asked Friday. But yeah, AMA is Friday. So we're gonna go ahead and end it here because streaming 2 hours would be ridiculous. So we'll probably end up at like 157.
Perfect.
Because I mean, who streams with 2 hours? That's the hell. This game doesn't even exist,
My-
guys. Relax.
My wife knows I can't last 3 minutes, so we might as well stop here.
Once again, thank you guys. We could not do this without you. The Voices of Verra. Make sure you guys are following and sub to Vlhadus if you liked hearing his talks here tonight. We appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys. I may do another stream. I may do another stream Thursday. The day before the AMA. I usually stream on Thursdays anyway, so maybe we'll do one more stream as a day before thing. We'll see. Keep in touch. Make sure you guys are in the Discord. Appreciate you guys once again. Thanks for the follows. Tavern, thank you for the raid.
Yes.
Thanks for the donations, likes, subs. Vlhadus, once again, thank you for popping up last second.
No problem.
And see you guys in Verra. Peace.